guys, and welcome back to the Lichen Project. This is my second Preptober video. The first one was plot structures, so I'll link that up in the cards for you to have a look at. This one is going to be character profiles. So I've kind of broken it down into character, like the central character you're looking at, and then sort of building out from there in terms of their family, and then just a bunch of miscellaneous questions that I couldn't quite figure out where to go. I will be dipping in and out of Delilah Neruda, who is my main character in my Rippled Reflections, which is the Devil Vase book 1. Links in the description if you'd like to look at it. And so here we go. So name is Delilah Carrie. Her name is Delilah Carrie Neruda. Carrie Neruda, sorry. And doesn't have any meaning. Her surname has a meaning in terms of the paranormal creatures that will appear within the story. Her middle name is Carrie, as in like Stephen King's Carrie, because feeds more into her character base. And Delilah was just a nice name. Which then leads on to, do they have any nicknames and where did they come to light? So Delilah has 3, I believe. She's got 1 from the people she works with at the watershed. She has 1 that came up in childhood, which is explained early on in the book. And then Dom, who is her like main male best friend, calls her Vixen, but that's also because he has an animal name as well. Then we go on to appearances, which is body type and her colourings. So your body type is, are they tall, thin, thick, short, any other things that change within the appearance. So whether or not they have a limp, whether or not they have any scars. Delilah is a shorter than average and petite person. She's quite slender, but that's also because she's also quite athletic. So she might be slim, but she's like muscly slim. She is redhead with green eyes, and she has a pale complexion with quite a lot of freckles because she spends a lot of time in the sun. Gestures, so characters and people in general have certain gestures, whether they talk with their hands, when they smile and stuff. Because she is personality-wise, Delilah's a bit cheeky and mischievous, she smiles a lot. The next one is job or role within the story. I have made a note in the comment, in the description about this, whether or not the job is their role within the story or if their role is bigger than their job. Delilah's role is my main character. She is a student. So she doesn't have a job or anything, but for an example, her father is a holistic wellness coach at the wellness clinic that their family owns, but his main function within the story is to be Delilah's father and anchor. Style, so clothing choices, whether not they dress up, dress down, or do they use them to hide themselves or anything. Delilah just dresses practically and functionally. Jewellery, do they wear any? Does it have any special meaning, or does it play a role within the story? None so far. Bedroom is, what's their bedroom like? Delilah shares an attic bedroom with her sister, and they have 2 sort of, it's kind of divided into 2 rooms without having a dividing wall. She is in the shadowy section. She has like a lead-like glass window above her bed and a whole bunch of bookcases. Gothic-y. Schooling, so what did they do or are studying and why did they make those choices? Delilah being 16, 17, so yes, age is also another thing. You can also go down the track of what's their actual date of birth and what's their star sign. I haven't got that far yet because star signs might impact on personality traits and stuff. I just haven't selected one. I just know she's 16, 17. Schooling, she's quite like sciences, sport and English. She is trying to science base so that she can get out of town and go and be a marine biologist because she quite cares for the marine ecosystem and the water. A face claim. So this is, you see a actor or a stock image and you go, that's what they look like. So you can have a visual representation of your character. It also helps you put your cast together to see if their cast is diverse, because I think it's important to reflect what you see in the world and what we're creating. So that is important. Another level of diversity, as I am a queer author, is I think specifically also about sexuality of my characters. So my character sexuality is bisexual. Things change within the first book in Devil's Bay that then opens up her eyes to that she is not just heterosexual, but she is more bisexual. What is their current relationship status, and do they have any other relationships? had any other relationships. So she's had a few dates, but no actual exes in town. Also, her current relationships, she is venturing into dating a few people of varying genders. And then we get into random fun facts about characters. So we have dominant hands, so are they left-handed, right-handed, or ambidextrous? Allergies or strong aversions to things. Talents, so it doesn't have to be their magical talents if they're like a werewolf or any sort of magic to the story. It can just be as simple as they juggle, they can do cartwheels, they can bake really well. Delilah's just a really good swimmer. Her pet peeves. So what really irks your characters? Double standards really get to Delilah. Cruelty, people being cruel for the sake of being cruel. Insecurities is that she can't live up to the expectations that the world has on her. Hobbies, Delilah loves hiking, swimming, so anything water-based, and anything horror-related, so TV shows, video, books, movies, and all that. Then we go into friendships, which are, do they have any close friends? Where do they like to hang out? Do they have any enemies? She has a few close friends in town. She has a new friendship start. They like to hang out in the watershed. They like to hang out at Mrs. Moore's lunch bar. Enemies, there is a other sort of group of teenagers in town that she doesn't get along with, which is also sadly headed up by her sister. So that's a problem. Do they have any pets? The Nerudas do not have pets. And what embarrasses them? Delilah doesn't get embarrassed. She just goes along with stuff. Other things to consider to just make people rounded out is favorites such as food, colors, animals, songs, music, weather, time of the day, season, and such like that. Horror, macabre stuff, really up Delilah's wheelhouse. And then we move on to the morality of your character. So it's also interesting to sort of see what underpins their actions, which is, had they been in a physical fight, what was it over? Who was it with and who won? Delilah gets into scraps with her sister when they were younger, just because they're siblings. There is a few fights that she gets into in Rippled Reflections. She unfortunately does not come out of them as the victor, but she's not 100% sure of what they're over. She just knows she's involved with them. What are your religious views and things? What religion are they, and if any do you call their own? Devil's Bay is a smallish town. She goes to church every Sunday with her family just because that's what her family does. So she's Christian. Future, are they hopeful and why? If not, she is hopeful. She's conflicted but hopeful, because a lot of the beginning of the story, a lot of people think that she's irking her responsibilities and opportunities that are being given to her, but she has the grades and the drive to go forward. Another question is, what's the worst thing you can do to someone else and why? Delilah has a very strong mental bullying issue. Like, she doesn't appreciate it. She thinks it mentally torturing, like tormenting someone, probably the worst thing you can do, because you can heal from a broken bone easier, but it can take a lifetime to overcome wounds that are inflicted within the psyche of someone. Are they a better leader or follower, and why do they think so? Delilah is a pseudo leader, so she's being put into a leadership position within her friendship group more because she is willing to be outspoken. She is willing to bear the brunt of people's disapproval so that others that are slightly more fragile and unsure of themselves are protected. And then we got onto family, so their relationships within their family is do they like their family? Does the character get along? So what their family like? Do they get along with their family? As stated before, Delilah doesn't really get along with her mum. She is a daddy's girl, but not in like a bad way. Her mum's not a fan of her. She has a sister called Kimberly. They are kind of, I wouldn't say polar opposites, but they are leading different lives at this point. And then we go into the parents' marriage. So this also influences your character's love and how they perceive things. What is it like? Were they married? Are they still married? Okay, her parents were childhood, they met in college, they fell in love, they got married. Over the course of the book, there are cracks that form within the marriage, but they are still married by the end of the book. Siblings, what's the worst things that one sibling's ever done to another sibling? Normal sibling stuff. Fighting and not getting along. Kimberly really does also stick it to Delilah in terms of, I'm mum's favourite, everyone in town hates you, I'm the golden child, so I think that's the worst thing that they've done to each other. Are there any non-family adults that stick out in their mind? Who are they and how did they know them and why do they stick out? Delilah has two. There are two sort of non-family adults that have kind of guided and shaped her, which is Mrs. Moore from the lunch bar and Old Jones, who helps run the watershed. So Mrs. Moore is just runs the lunch bar, which is like a diner, has always been friendly, caring, and sort of respected that Delilah and Kimberly are two separate children and have always allowed them to express themselves. Old Jones runs the watershed, which also means that Delilah learnt to swim. Like, he taught Delilah to swim, he taught Delilah about stuff, and also he is her boss during summer with the lifeguarding. So they stick out. That's how they know them. A bunch of teachers and stuff. They live in a small town. But they're probably the two most formative adults outside the family. And then we get into miscellaneous, which was the worst injury they've ever received. How did it happen and were there any scars? Delilah has bumps and scrapes from falling out of kayaks and canoes and over on rocky trails. She has not got any scars. Is she ticklish? I haven't actually thought about it. It was a question that popped up when I was making this. I would say she is ticklish. Do they have any bad habits and what are they and do they plan on getting rid of them? Delilah is very outspoken. She is very abrupt at times and no, she does not plan on getting rid of them. What do they carry with them? She doesn't really have a soul thing, like you always see someone with something. No. And was their theme song? I will get back to you on what Delilah's theme song is. I do have a theme song for another character, but Delilah doesn't have one. So I would love for you to answer any of these questions down in the comments below about your characters, or what was the most interesting question you thought I had on my profile. Please feel free to copy the questions and fill them out. And I hope that this Preptober video helps you get ready for NaNoWriMo, or just any other writing projects you have. Let's use our voices to promote positive change in the world. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be back with a new video.